Welcome, everyone, to our 2016 Entrepreneurship of Force for Good. My name is Jeff Reed. I'm the founding director of the Georgetown Entrepreneurship Initiative, also known as Startup Hoyas. We love promoting entrepreneurship all over the Georgetown campus. Many of you are involved in many of our programs, but for those of you who are new, the Georgetown Entrepreneurship Initiative and Startup Hoyas works with students across the entire Georgetown University, all degree programs, graduate, undergraduate, it doesn't matter. If you're interested in entrepreneurship, we want to be able to help you out. Pitch competitions like this are one of the things we do. We have our larger pitch competition of the year, which we call the Startup Hoyas Challenge, is coming up in April. So those of you who get inspired tonight to pitch, or those who pitch and want to do it again later, we hope you will enter that competition. If you want to know more about our programs, check us out at startuphoyas.com, where you can also sign up for our weekly bulletin. Who in here gets our weekly bulletin, email newsletter? Most folks. All right. For those who don't sign up, it's actually a great value. Of course, free. So with that, I want to thank some folks who are here. First of all, our judging panel seated in the front row here. These folks are going to help us determine the best social entrepreneurial business pitches tonight. We thank all of you for being here. And specifically, I want to thank our co-sponsor for tonight's event, the Global Social Enterprise Initiative, represented by LaDon Montague. LaDon, would you stand and be recognized, please? So, we do entrepreneurship stuff. LaDon and her team do the social enterprise stuff, and we love to work together around things like social entrepreneurship. So, with that, I'm now going to turn over the mic to tonight's MC, who is going to lead you through the competition, one of our awesome student leaders, sophomore in the business school, Will McDonald.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys all for coming out tonight. We've got a lot of great pitches. I'm excited for you guys all to hear them. A couple ground rules before we get started to kind of ease the process and make it smoother. If you guys could all silence your cell phones so they don't go off throughout the night, it makes it a lot easier for the presenters so they don't get distracted. Away from that, a couple ground rules. In case of a fire, just want to let you know there's doors behind me and to the side. As well as that, the format for the night is going to be 2-minute pitches throughout. We're going to give all the presenters a 30-second warning in the back. Meredith's going to lead you with that one, as well as a gong will go off when you're out of time. We would like some audience participation as well. We're going to have a People's Choice Award at the end. All of you should have received a paper slip on your seat. At the end, we'll ask you to circle your favorite pitch, and then we'll all collect them at the end and award the People's Choice Award. So with that, I'd like to bring up our first participant, and one analytics there.
Hi, my name is Dylan Elder. I'm a freshman in the college. So my company, And One Analytics, is based off of 2 daily fantasy sports sites, FanDuel and DraftKings. If you're not familiar with those sites, you basically make a lineup of players from any sport. They got 5 or 6 sports that they do. You make a lineup and put money on it. You either win or you lose. Their business models, they've made millions and even in billions of dollars, and their business model is great because the average player is designed to lose. That's why they make so much money. So what our company does, we have our own algorithm we've been working on for a year and a half now that kind of flips that under 50% cash rate on its head. So with almost a year's worth of data, our lineups cash at a 61% success rate. So with those lineups that cash at 61% compared to the average player who's going to lose on these sites, we sell them to customers. We have our website, and1analytics.com. That's been up since last April, and page views have increased every month over the past since last April. We have over 500 happy customers. We do 5 different sports: NBA, college basketball, MLB, NFL, and college football. Those sports, 80% of the people who buy one sport are happy enough that they buy a second one. Cash flow has been positive since day one. Since we're selling the information on these lineups, we essentially give you the lineup like an hour before the slate locks. All you have to do is input it into the site, FanDuel or DraftKings, and 61% of the time you're going to win, at least according to our past results. So the great thing, that's basically what we do. We have, like I said, 500 subscribers or 500 happy customers. And yeah, all we sell is information. We have no overhead costs hardly, except for a website host, and packages range from $10 to $200. And yeah, it's been super successful so far. So we want to keep growing it, keep scaling, and yeah, that's about it.
Hi, my name is Afras, and when I first came to DC, I was confronted by two issues. One, poor customer service, and two, income inequality, which I saw through the lens of food insecurity. Churn, the first community loyalty program app, addresses these issues in 3 ways. First, at every Churn subscribed business, you'll be able to find a QR code that you just need to simply scan with the app to join a community. In this community, there will be a forum where customers can provide their input and upvote the input of other customers to build stronger connections. Second, customers will be able to fill out feedback forms that will be provided by each business in order to collect better data and improve the customer service experience. In order to gain revenue, Churn will be charging $129 per quarter, a highly competitive rate, in order to sustain the business infrastructure of our nonprofit. Third, and most importantly, Churn will be generating social impact. We'll bring social consciousness to the forefront by changing the incentive structures people usually associate with loyalty programs. This will be done in the way that loyalty points will be awarded when you fill out feedback forms, and in addition to this, you will earn loyalty points every time you make a purchase. These loyalty points will be able to be cashed in as donations to local organizations who we will establish as community partners. So we can see that there is a clear market demand for Churn right now. In a market of over 3.3 billion loyalty memberships, Churn approaches the issue of customer retention in a completely new way. The customers receive an engaging new experience, and businesses receive a stronger brand, a stronger community, and stronger data. So if you want an incredible customer service experience, a thriving community, and 1 million loyalty points, come join Churn with me.
Hi, my name is Casaya Clement, and I am the founder of Ciudadano, meaning citizen in Spanish. So currently the United States has about 8.8 million people that are legal permanent residents. And only about 6% of these people actually apply for citizenship, which means there's a huge problem here. There's a lot of people who aren't applying because of a lack of resources. I became really passionate about citizenship in high school when I joined an organization called Mission Citizen, which offered free citizenship classes to legal permanent residents seeking citizenship. And from this, I learned that when people are given these accessible resources, they actually take it and they become a citizen. We have a 99% hit rate. So, because of this, because it was person to person, we could only serve 200 people per year, which is barely a dent in the 8.8 million people who are legal permanent residents and become citizens. So this is where Ciudadano comes in. Ciudadano is an online, interactive, multilingual learning platform that will help will help legal permanent residents through the citizenship process. Not only will it provide a step-by-step guide to becoming a citizen, but it will also provide these online interactive lessons about American history and civics to help them to take the American citizenship test. Initially, these lessons will be taught in Spanish and English to help cater to the community of legal permanent residents, and then hopefully will be expanded to other languages later. Currently, Ciudadano is working on the online platform now. We've reached out to Khan Academy and Duolingo for partnerships. And we hope to expand in the future. Right now, our revenue model is mainly through advertisements and grants, as well as hopefully selling this online model to other companies searching for a way to accessibly teach employees in a better way. In the future, Ciudadano also hopes to offer microloans and scholarships to these legal permanent residents to help offset the $670 cost of becoming a citizen. Also, there's no online platform or learning platform. Thank you.
The world we're living in gets more personalized and customizable by the day. Subway and Chipotle allow us to have our food our way. Spotify and Pandora allow us to make individualized playlists. 3D printers have begun printing shoes customized to fit an individual's foot. And yet our heating and cooling systems remain a one-size-fits-all. Every building in the country works roughly the same way. You pick a temperature, turn on the heat or the air conditioning, and the entire building moves to that same temperature. This system is archaic, impersonal, and costly, both to our wallets and the environment. Georgetown spends about $30 million a year on utilities. Roughly half of that, $15 million, goes to heating and cooling buildings. If you zoom out, you'll see a similar trend nationwide. Americans spend about $11 billion a year heating and cooling their homes, but the costs to the environment are even higher. Each home emits roughly 5,500 pounds of carbon regulating the temperature. Collectively, nationwide, we spew over 500 billion pounds of carbon simply to achieve this task. Clearly, the way we heat and cool our homes is costly, wasteful, and detrimental to the environment.
Here at Goldilocks Inc., Scott and I think that there's a better way. What if there were clothing that could provide the user with adjustable, localized heating and cooling? Heat the person, not the environment. At Goldilocks Inc., we plan on intertwining rechargeable electrical fibers and regular cotton fibers to create smart clothing. Clothing with an internal, personalized thermostat. These close-fitting clothes will ensure that the user is comfortable no matter what the temperature outside. At Goldilocks Inc., we could use the help of a unified Georgetown. Business students could monitor our operations and costs. SFS students could work on policy to create incentives for adoption. College students could work on clothing design and also on media relations. And the NHS could work on research to better regulate internal body temperature. Together, we can create a product that cuts costs.
Hi, Hemios is an independent bone marrow registry. What we do is recruit donors that transplant physicians can use to treat their critically ill blood cancer patients who require a bone marrow donor. This industry, a little bit of background, it's basically insane. So imagine a situation where 15% of the customers didn't get the product. But by not getting the product, they die. That's what's happening every day in the bone marrow transplant industry. So enter Hemios. What we do is compensate donors. We have a donor compensation model aligning this with the plasma industry, egg industry, sperm industry that are all compensating donors. This completely changes the economics of this industry and is a game changer. We're the only ones doing it. So our traction to date, so far we've been recruiting several hundred donors, and if you look at what a transplant center needs and what we're providing, it matches up really well. They want a young donor. Our average age is 21. The average age of the industry is 35. They want a male donor. Our males are 70% of our registry. And finally, they want an ethnic minority or a genetic match between the same ethnicity. 80% of our donors are minorities, which is exactly what these transplant centers need. We've got traction. We've got interest with hundreds of hospitals across the country. We've got meetings coming up with a critical transplant center here in DC and another one in New York. We've got the team, we've got the strategy, and we've got the industry expertise to create a business that doesn't just change people's lives, we're going to save people's lives. We're looking for angel investors and VC investors right now to help grow this business. If you're interested, I'd love to talk to you offline and tell you about where Hemios is going next. Thank you.
For too long, skills education has been unavailable to the underprivileged in India. 90% of work in India is casual labor or informal labor, meaning that people are unskilled laborers. People who are unskilled are more likely to be exploited, have lower wages, and suffer abuse from their employers. On the other hand, people who have skills, who can do skilled labor, including construction, transportation, logistics, they have much better outcomes in terms of job quality, and they have higher wages. However, in India, going forward, there's a need for 119 million more skilled laborers. Additionally, skills education is unavailable to people who are underprivileged. The mission for the Indian Training Partnership is to target people who are underprivileged economically underprivileged women, youth, and minorities, and give them access to job training that will not only allow them to gain jobs that they would otherwise not be able to gain, but in addition to that, we would target businesses keeping a finger on the pulse of the market to target employers and figure out what skills they need from their employees. According to the Aspen Institute, this model has already been implemented in the West. However, it has not been implemented in other countries. The greatest issue going forward is that there's no one who's actually implementing this in India. And so the main goal behind the Indian Training Partnership is to take the operational and management capacity and from American businesses who are already implementing this model and take it out to India. One of the main things that we find is that first, there's a lot of regional partners who are willing to help us. And in addition to this, there's a lot of people.
Across the majority of African countries, 75% of infrastructure is comprised of dirt roads. 80% of Africans own cell phones. This sector has rapidly increased in the last few years. Mobilized Construction aims to take the increasing mobile connectivity to improve physical connectivity of goods, services, and people. Mobilized Construction employs communities from all over rural areas using cell phone-based technology to improve small 1-kilometer road sections. Employees will be trained to use basic tools like shovels, picks, bricks, dirt to fill potholes and to smooth rough areas that the rain washes away. Directions on places that need maintenance will be sent via text message. Salaries and incentives will also be sent via text message. And the messages will be allocated based on road conditions, sourced from GPS data of road speed and road roughness collected from vehicles that are driving through the roads.
At an estimated $16,000 per kilometer, traditional methods require heavy machinery, large amounts of capital, things that just aren't available in developing countries these days. By using local labor, simpler methods, and the systems that Sylvie just described using our mobile accounting platform, we estimate costs anywhere from 10 to 20% of current methods. Our third teammate up here, Johan, he's actually just spent 2 weeks in Uganda assessing, working with a local NGO to figure out when and how we can expand and scale our idea. Properly maintained roads have far-reaching impacts. Rural farmers can access markets, driving down the prices of food. Employment opportunities expand geographically. And more people have access to services such as schools, hospitals, clinics, and other services. By improving road maintenance, Mobilized Construction aims to extend the fruits of commerce to developing communities around the world. Thank you.
With us to talk tonight. It's worth noting that after we hear from David, we're going to have a quick 3-minute break so everyone can grab some food and drink, and then return for the last 7 of our pitches there. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome David up to the stage right now to come speak with you guys. Awesome.
Hi guys, my name is Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Yeah, it's always kind of funny when you do that because you're like, uh-oh, I'm at one of those meetings.
Hi, my name's Dave.
Oh, hi Dave. So I am a bona fide traveling soap salesman, which is a great line to drop at a cocktail party because people will be like, oh, look, there's punch. But seriously, if you're ever on a plane or if you're ever on a bus or any type of modes of transportation and you want someone to stop talking to you, tell them you're a soap salesman. They literally will find every excuse to be like, oh, I don't want to talk to you. So Dan and I started Soapbox back in 2010. And CC, our Director of Communications, is here as well. And I'd be remiss if I didn't start with team is everything. We have a 10-person full-time team. We work with a brokerage agency of over 100 people, and we use contract manufacturers to manufacture our products here in the United States. And without those individuals, day in and day out, we would be nowhere. So thank you guys both for being here. Great. We'll start. That literally is my oldest brother. I'm not kidding. I did not search on Google for people who look like the Hulk. Somehow I'm genetically related to this person, which still bewilders me and my parents. The running theory in the family is that the food just didn't make it down the table. Hence, I look the way I do and he looks the way he does. But the reason I show this slide is because growing up with someone like this teaches you a very important lesson often. And that is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, and especially for all of you who are pitching today, you are going to get hit in the face non-stop. And the biggest thing about entrepreneurship is not necessarily okay, how do I gracefully fall or scream out to your parents so that they can come and help you, but it's in how you pick yourself up. And as trite and cliche as that sounds, day in and day out, being an entrepreneur, you are going to get smacked again and again and again and again and again. And in the short time that I have, I don't want to be one of those speakers that's just we had an idea, we wrote it in a napkin, we started in a garage, we're millionaires. There's a lot that goes in between that process of there's this one time where I was found crying underneath my desk because we didn't know how to make payroll like a baby. There's those things that a lot of people don't like to talk about. And I'm going to talk about them. So, we're going to start out. What is Soapbox? Why am I here? We are a one-for-one company. And we do one-for-one differently. So, we work both here domestically, so every time someone buys one of our products, thank you, Dan. Every time someone buys one of our products at Target or a bunch of other stores that I'll tell you about, we either donate a bar of soap or a month of clean water development. And the way that we do our one-for-one is very different in a sense that instead of us transporting soap from the United States to the countries that we serve, we'd much rather actually work with local makers and or empower, train, and teach local makers in the areas that we work. For example, if Dan were a local soap maker in northern India and Cece ran a non-for-profit that was doing a wash initiative in that same community, oftentimes how this works is she reaches out to us and says, hey, we need soap. I'm like, great, we'll send it from the States. All of a sudden, Dan, when I pop out of the shipping container with 20,000 bars of soap, is in a really bad spot. And we wanted to change that. So we started Soapbox. I used to work for the USAID as a subcontractor and had this crazy idea to start making soap in my kitchen. So 2010 starts. I start making soap in my kitchen. My landlord thinks I'm making meth. All my friends thought that I literally was trying to start a fight club. Because what 22-year-old is hey, I'm going to start a soap company? And they're like, yeah, I'm in. I'm like, what are you in? You got money? What do you want to invest? And they're like, no, man, first 2 rules. I'm like, no, still a soap company. So how we do one-for-one different in continuing this is each one of our products actually has a unique identifying code where you can go to our website, punch in that HOPE code, and see exactly where that other one-for-one went. So we do a lot of work here in the States in local homeless shelters and food pantries. So did the bar of soap that you bought in a Giant anywhere around here in the DC area, or a Target, or a Publix down south, or a Hy-Vee out west, where did that one-for-one go? And more importantly, it's about how do you actually bring that consumer along with you on the difference that they're making. Because it's not, Soapbox, if anything, is the conduit between the consumer wanting to make a difference and the partner that we are honored to serve. And it's about bringing those two people together. So, like I said, every time we sell one of our liquid hand soaps, our bar soaps, our body washes, we donate a bar. Every time we sell one of our shampoos, conditioners, lotions, we do a month of clean water development. This was our first big break. So this extremely tall guy over here, him and I started the company. We brought Dan on within the first 3 months. Somehow you were crazy enough to be like, yeah, I want to join your fight club. I'm pretty sure you were disappointed afterwards. You were like, oh, this actually is a soap company? You're like, damn. But anyways, Stephanie came on a year later. And this is actually a hard part, especially for the entrepreneurs in like the very early stage. The people you start with may not be the people that continue on with you. So Eric and Stephanie basically decided that she wanted to go to get her JD MBA in 2012. Eric decided that entrepreneurship life was just too risky for him and he wanted to stay at IBM. The antithesis of entrepreneurship. I'm just kidding. But anyways, it was really hard for Dan and I because we had to figure out how to go our path without our original team. But the reason I show this slide is 2010 happened. We started making soap in my kitchen. 2011, we were just doing this on evenings and weekends. We all kept our full-time jobs. And 2012, after begging, pleading, calling, emailing Whole Foods, finally they were like, please, for the love of God, stop coming. Like, don't be that guy. And Dan, you remember this. I would just camp out of their regional offices. So like the buyer at 8 in the morning would like walk in and be like, hey. And like at 5 or 6, she'd walk out and I'd be like, hey again, still here, like not leaving. And eventually they were just like, wow, like we have to give these people a shot because otherwise they're just gonna continue to take space in our lobby. And we got into our first Whole Foods, and we did so well that we launched into, from 1 store, we went to 8 stores, and from 8 stores, we went to a whole region, and we thought like we were soap kings. We were like, soap moguls, like we know what we're doing, like, we had no idea. And it all came, like basically sales went like up, and then they went down. And the reason being is the soap was way too expensive. We had since switched manufacturing from like my kitchen to an actual contract manufacturer. But the other thing is, if you notice, all the packaging here was just kids' faces, which we were like, this is so innovative, and like no one's gonna like think to see kids on bars of soap as they walk down the aisles of Whole Foods. Wrong. Turns out that people actually were like, is this made by kids? Like, is this made with kids? Like, is this the Soylent Green of soap? Like, this is terrible. So it was one of those things where once again, like we got knocked in the face of like, got to pick ourselves up again. We got to go back to the drawing board. More importantly, we realized, especially for entrepreneurs in the room, the ego and hubris it takes to launch something, to believe you can be David versus Goliath, the ego and hubris it takes to launch something is often the exact opposite skill set it takes to scale something. And that is coachability, humility, and the willingness to adapt and listen to people who are a lot smarter than you. Because although your idea might be different, the channel that you're trying to compete in is probably well established. So, what do? We started listening, we evolved, we've changed our packaging. Cece, how many times? Yeah, we're the textbook of not how to do it. Like in CPG, you usually like figure out your brand and you stay with it for as long as you can. We've changed our branding and our design, our packaging, and our offering. The one thing that has consistently always stayed true with Soapbox is the mission and why we exist. That is why we exist. But we started out in the natural channel. We realized that the natural channel was only going to be so big, and the whole reason that we wanted to compete in the marketplace is we want to be the next Dove. Like really, it's crazy, right? It's big, bold, ambitious, but that's what we want to do. So we had to surround ourselves with mentors and investors and advisors, and more importantly, we had to listen on how we could adapt. So with the time that I have, I want to go over just some quick things, especially for the people who are presenting, because these are some hard lessons learned through blood, sweat, and tears that Dan, Cece, and the rest of our team have learned. So you have an idea. You're pitching tonight. How do you start? First off, test your assumptions. Everyone in here probably knows of like whole lean startup theory and minimal viable product and Eric Ries. Eric Ries comes from Professor Blank from Stanford, like all that type of stuff. But really, a lot of people say that, but they don't actually do it in practice. So before you drop out, before you quit your full-time job, test it. Test the original hypothesis. And it's actually quite simple to do. So I want to talk about Zappos. Tony Hsieh basically had a successful company that was bought beforehand, and he had tons of money in order to just drop tens of thousands of dollars on inventory. And before actually doing that with Zappos, he and his team actually went out to Kohl's and snapped pictures of shoes and then threw up a wireframe website and tested the original assumption of Zappos, which is, will people buy shoes online? Before buying inventory, before quitting their day jobs, well, they had a successful exit, so it's not like, I'm going to quit yachting. Before literally changing their life and diving headfirst into it, they just wanted to test the hypothesis, and that is, will people buy shoes? For us, Eric and I and Dan stood on the street corners of our hometown outside Chicago and just asked people, like tried to sell the product to them, which is funny because I think a lot of people thought, we were missionaries because I was just like, hello, would you like to buy some soap? And like, yeah, but thankfully enough people were like, oh yeah, I totally want to. And more importantly is, your friends and family will lie. They will totally lie to you. And it's not because they're bad people. It's because they know you. And they can't disassociate you from the product and idea that you have. For example, I'm pretty sure everyone in this room could go home, fill a bag of like Ziploc Air, and sell it to your mom. Why? Because it's yours. And your mom will be like, this is a great idea, honey. People will totally buy this. And so many entrepreneurs believe this. They're like, oh, my friends think this is a great idea. I totally have traction. You're like, no. And the real metric is this. It's not Facebook likes. It's not cool titles. It's not office space. It's not even selling it once. It's selling it to the same customer again and again and again and again. That is true traction. In the consumer products world, the biggest metric to follow is not necessarily top-line growth, it's same-store sales. It is, if I put my product in Target, just one Target, how much is that one SKU, which is usually how you identify like a product by its UPC, that's called a SKU, how much is that actually turning week over week after week? And the successful companies, the companies that really grow, are not necessarily the ones that go from like 1 million to 5 million to 20 million. It's the companies that they might have slower growth, but people love that brand. So if you're starting something from scratch, I'm looking at all of you guys, the real metrics to track are, especially if a business, even a social mission one like ours, is this. And it's not overall, it's the same person becoming a loyalist of your brand or mission or donating to your not-for-profit. This goes pretty much self-explanatory. But it's something that saved our butt time and time again, pun intended. But really, surround yourself with people. Entrepreneurs are some of the most giving people I've found. And the reason being is because we've been there before. And we know what it feels like to fail. And failing doesn't necessarily mean failure. Right? Let's see what you did there. What I mean by that is that getting knocked in the face and losing a battle doesn't mean you lose the war. And if you surround yourself with people who've been through enough of these battles, hopefully you can avoid some of them. And then finally, listen to your consumer. There are entrepreneurs out there that believe they're the next Steve Jobs. And that's great, right? That's fantastic. But I believe that the type of Steve Jobs mentality, my personal belief of, I don't think the customer knows what they want until I show them, I don't believe that. I believe that customers will give you amazing insights, especially with how they spend their money. And you have to track that validation. So, back to review to starting. We talked about don't quit your day job, don't jump all in, don't go spend any type of angel investors' money or your family's money if they have it or whatever before you actually validate the MVP, your minimal viable product. Find the right type of metrics to track and track them day and night. Prove the idea, then add fuel, and surround yourself with people who know what they're doing. Wash, repeat. Obviously, we run a shampoo company. So, what I like to do here is actually give my information. And instead of wholesale, because it will go to our whole team, don't do that. Just replace it with dave@soapboxsoaps.com. There are thousands upon thousands of people who've taken the time to help us out. I would absolutely love to return the favor. My ask is that you start small. So if you send me an email, please just like 2-3 lines, like, hey, I'm thinking of this, like, could you help out? Please don't send me your business plan and be like, I would like you to read this and get back to me by tomorrow. Like, please don't do that. With that being said, do I have time for Q&A? All right, does anyone have any questions? That's a bigger one. Yes? Hi. No, so one of the biggest ways is LinkedIn's fantastic. And you can, like, LinkedIn actually has statistically one of the highest, like, open rates. So I think a lot of people usually go for celebrity entrepreneurs. They're like, oh, I totally want Bill Gates on my, like, advisory board. Problem is, everyone's going after Bill Gates. But surprisingly, not a lot of people go for, like, the recently retired VP that ran a whole division of Microsoft. Like, that lady or gentleman is just sitting, like, in retirement. And they're just like, I kind of want to give back. So what's really interesting is those people completely exist and they want to help. You just have to be the person, especially being an entrepreneur, that's willing to hustle harder and find those individuals. And another thing is, for those of you seeking funding, you probably have heard this, but ask for money, get advice. Ask for advice, get money. Like, really, you will get your first round of funding by building a network of people who are champions of you. Because when an angel investor will invest in your company, they're not investing in your idea, they're investing you as the jockey. I mean, yes, the idea is important, but they know it's probably going to pivot and change and that there are fundamentals and projections are not going to go to plan, and like all of these things are going to happen, but they're investing in you. So the more people that you have vying for you and like standing up and saying like, yeah, this person's awesome, the better. And that means lots of emails, lots of phone calls, lots of coffee, lots of people who are willing to, put out and say like, please email me. Because I might not be the person that you need to talk to, but I might know the person you do. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes? How do I decide that we need to change our packaging? One day I wake up, no. So it almost seems like that, doesn't it? No, so we read the data. And then the other thing is we did this thing called Influencer where we sent out 1,000 bottles and did a home customer focus group. We've also done customer focus panels. But basically the biggest thing we saw when we sent out all these bottles with our old packaging is people absolutely loved the proposition. People thought we could actually increase the price. People loved the product. For those of you who want to start a social mission business, because you have a social mission, that's great. That might be the reason why they buy it the first time. But the product, the service, whatever, has to absolutely perform. Almost actually more than they expect. Because going into it, they expect that because you have a social mission, somehow the product might be inferior. Like that's the tricky thing about social missions with business, because you're leading with two propositions. You're saying, hey, do well, do good, help those in need. Also, by the way, this is the most amazing chip that you'll ever taste in the world. It's really confusing because for-profit companies that don't necessarily advertise that social mission are leading with, this is the best damn chip you're ever gonna, it's got sea salt, it's got this, it's got that. That's the proposition. That's what they're leading with. And sometimes consumers basically want a really salty, nice, amazing chip. They don't necessarily want to be giving back to wherever as they buy a chip. That's confusing to them. So it's extremely delicate to try to find the blend of what businesses can actually exist with that social mission. And that's something that we've learned time and time again. And when it comes to packaging, we've gone through so many iterations of trying to find the balance of how do we lead with, we're a either all natural line or elements line, which is like in Whole Foods and other those type of stores, or we're a paraben, EDTA, phthalate-free, amazing packaging, affordable price point that has that social mission. Like that's the crazy thing. And I believe that you're going to have to consistently pivot and try and trial and all of these different things to actually get it right. I know I'm running out of time. Do we have time for one more? Yes. We work, oh, go ahead. So we work in over 50 different countries. So we'd be here for a little bit. And also, my enunciation is awful. Just ask these two. I'm so bad with names that actually Dan has told me not to tell people's names. Like, we've walked into a meeting with Kroger, and literally he was like, hey, the buyer's name is Jim. The buyer's name is Jim. I was like, got it. Walking, I'm like, Jeff, great to meet you. Like, so I'll spare the embarrassment for me and my team. Most of it's inbound. So most of it is people discovering us. And then once it's an inbound, we make sure that they fit a criteria of the way that we view aid. So one of the things that really bothers us is savior mentality, and or if they're not treating the people they're serving with the respect that they would want to treat a family member. For example, you guys know the whole Sarah McLachlan commercial of like where she's like, if you don't call in 5 minutes, this puppy's gonna die. You know, and you're like, oh no, like what's going, like it's like in the arms of an angel. Like all of you know this commercial, and every time it comes on, you dive for the remote. And the reason being is because it's too guilt driven. And more importantly, like if I were that puppy or if I were the child that like has the flies flying around it and it's just like donate to this charity, I would be like, why are you showing me in my absolute worst state? And I think that when we look at how we portray the people we serve, we want to have the same level of dignity that we would want to show a family member in that time of need. So that's one criteria. Empowerment driven. So how are they actually like removing themselves from the equation? That's the second criteria. And then the third criteria is like, how is this actually sustainable? In terms of Splash, our water partner, and I'll finish up right after this, is the reason we absolutely love them is they focus on supporting communities and entrepreneurs that take over the water treatment that they set up. So they don't come in there and be like, hey, okay, we're going to build this well, selfie, bye. You know, like not like that. That really bothers me at my core. And that's one of the reasons why we started Soapbox is because we were trying to think of like, how can we have a profitable way to continue to support the type of initiatives that we see changing the world, even when donations dry up? Like, how can we basically, through the economic times of giving, how can we create a proposition that not only continuously supports the type of initiatives we want to say changing the world, but how do we actually grow the amount of people that can be a part of that mission? So those are usually the three criteria in which we judge on. Guys, it's been an absolute humbling honor to be in front of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dave, for coming to talk to us tonight. Before we get back to the pitches, we're going to have a quick 3 to 4 minute break so you guys can grab some of the great food and drinks we have in the back.
All right, before we have our next round of pitches, I thought we'd take a moment to recognize our judges. So our judges, I'm going to give you guys a warning. I'm going to ask you to stand up and just introduce yourself briefly. And we want to do this for a couple of reasons. One, just so that our audience and our teams that are pitching can thank you and recognize you for being here and volunteering your time, but also so they can get to see who the judges are and who they might want to reach out to at the networking afterwards and say, I want to go find this person and talk to them. It's also a great way for us to show off the cross-section of our community. People have come from all over the university and from the business community around us to be a part of our judging panel tonight. We have an awesome group of people, and I would love for them to introduce themselves briefly. And we'll start over here on this end with Mr. Mark Silverman. Go, Mark, and then we'll just pass the mic down.
Hi, I'm Mark Silverman. I live in Los Angeles, but I come here about a week a month. And I'd be happy to hear from any one of you to tell me about what you're interested in. I'm an entrepreneur in residence. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Andrea Whistler. I serve as Executive Director of our Center for Social Justice Research, Teaching, and Service here at Georgetown. I also teach in our program on justice and peace. I'm probably the only person in this room who has gone to Peru with Jeff Reed. And we met a couple of years ago when we were both judges on something similar to this. So I'm very happy to be here. The CSJ houses the SIPS Fund, so undergrads and alumni who are interested in funding. SIPS is the Social Innovation for Public Service Fund. I'm happy to tell you more about it. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is John Jabara. I'm an entrepreneur in residence here at Georgetown, going on, I think, 2 years. My background is I spent 22 years with GlaxoSmithKline running business units all around the world, Japan, UK, Australia, US, mostly healthcare. And then in 2009, I started a clean tech company called Savinia Labs, which I run right now. And I try to help students that are interested in social entrepreneurship, in anything social innovation and healthcare technology.
My name is Randy Bass. I'm a professor of English and the Vice Provost for Education, and I lead an initiative here at Georgetown called Designing the Futures, which we're trying to incubate new educational models for the next phase of Georgetown's history.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Matt Garza. I'm over at 1776, where I lead the product and engineering team. 1776 is we're an incubator, we're a venture capital firm in town, and we work with thousands of companies around the world, sort of accelerating innovation in areas of essential human need. So we work in health, education, energy, cities, transportation, and thrilled to be here tonight.
Hello, I'm Father Stephen Fields. I'm a Jesuit. I teach theology.
Hi, my name is Aaron Alcher. I'm a technology entrepreneur. My first company, Rate My Teachers, was the world's largest teacher rating site. Excuse me. And now I run a company called Handtech, and we provide mobile technology solutions to property managers. So total 180 on our concept. But I've been in the tech startup space for a little over a decade, and happy to help anyone who's trying to break in and build a killer app or game-changing software system.
Dave, soap salesman.
I'm Dan. I'm also a soap salesman, but I'm happy to talk to anyone about entrepreneurship generally. Spent a decent amount of time in my early career in the tech space as well, Living Social, IBM before that, hence part of Dave's joke earlier. And then also anything operationally focused in terms of product development, supply chain, logistics, and so on.
I'm LaDonna. I'm your resident builder and product tester and reality checker, and you met me earlier.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ryan Ross. I run a program called the Halcyon Incubator, and we have a giant mansion just a few blocks away where we actually have a residential program for social entrepreneurs, which means when you graduate and you have a great social enterprise, you should be applying for my program. It's really focused on taking early stage ideas and helping them scale up. So if that's interesting to you, make sure you talk to me afterwards.
I'm Mike Malloy, the CEO at Waveborn Sunglasses. I'm an entrepreneur in resident here at Georgetown. I'm on campus most Tuesdays, meeting with students and helping you guys iterate through your startup ideas. Jeffrey and I also have a texting session going where we talk about our wardrobe and make sure that we match. So if you guys want to get in on that, I recommend just give me your number and we'll hit you up.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So all the judges will be available after if anyone has any questions or would like to talk to them. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome the team up from my mentor.
I'm Madeline Tomczyk.
And I'm Christopher Pape.
And we are 2 out of the 9 who are going to present to you my mentor. We want you to think back to high school when you were getting ready to graduate and you were thinking about where you were going to go to college and what you were going to do with your life. But there are many students across this great nation and across just here in DC that aren't afforded that luxury. They walk into their guidance counselors and they don't know exactly what they're going to do, and they don't have the kind of guidance that they can give to them. And so we are going to present my mentors an application that is going to connect professionals, specifically in the IT field, that is going to help them to give them a better sense of what they can do with their career. And Chris is going to tell you of how we're going to fund this venture.
We're going to really leverage, we have 9 people in the group, so we have people who are coders who can create the platform for the students and mentors to interact. Also, we've been working with 5 schools in the DC public area that are going to shepherd students to us. And then as far as mentors, we've worked with 2 big consulting firms, Deloitte and Price Waterhouse, that are going to help us provide mentors and also work with us with budgeting and trying to keep this as a scalable and viable enterprise.
Because specifically with DC, a lot of these are low income, so we want to make sure the venture is as cheap as possible, or really as low income. And so really when these high schools come to us, we don't have to make sure that they're not paying for something they can't really afford. And so really, when it comes to this, students are going to be able to have an idea of what a day of life as an IT professional is, or really get to see, if they're interested in gaming, they get to see what that passion really is. And so this is a chance to really connect them to their future and really get to experience what IT is really about. Because we know this is what a really hot topic it is. We know this from being in technology management. Cybersecurity is hot. We want to be able to get them to see what that's like and really expand upon it and connect them to their future in the end of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The low temperature was 13 degrees. Last month, during snowstorm Jonas, the low temperature with wind chill was below 5 degrees. And sadly, the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments has reported there are over 11,000 homeless people in D.C. alone. And all of these individuals are freezing and hungry. As human beings, we have a responsibility to attack this problem, and social entrepreneurship is the way to do so. I'm Kamar Mack. I'm a freshman in the Georgetown College, double majoring in economics and computer science. And my idea is an app that connects with your credit card. And with one touch, users can donate money to help the homeless. Now, this money goes to our drivers to hand deliver meals such as soup and cold weather accessories such as hats, gloves, and scarves to the individuals that need it most. Now, charitable individuals like yourselves would love this idea already because almost no one carries cash anymore, but everyone wants to help. But what makes One Touch great is the point system. 25% of your donation goes towards points that you can redeem at your favorite restaurant or coffee shop that we've partnered with. And for example, after you donate 2 meals, that's enough points to get a salad at Sweet Green. After you donate 10 cold bottles of water in the summer, that's enough for a treat at Georgetown Cupcake. And I've already talked with store management at both of these places, and they love the idea. Now, let me talk about business logistics and sustainability. One Touch will be structured as a 501c3 organization with a charitable commitment of 75%. And so that means that if we gain only 10,000 users, and I expect many more, but if we gain 10,000 users that donate on average $15 per month, that's enough to donate over 50,000 meals per year and 80,000 articles of cold weather gear. So, judges, this is where you come in. These figures are for DC alone, but there's so much potential for expansion. I plan to devote the funding toward building a social media team, more research, and app development. So make a difference with One Touch.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tessa Geeve, and I'm speaking on behalf of my company, Red Ribbon. There are millions of girls in developing countries that do not have access to the necessary sanitary products required for their monthly menstruation cycle. Products like pads and tampons, though commonplace in America, are very expensive for these girls to purchase. When a girl starts getting periods, she attends school less, missing out on invaluable education. This phenomenon is a widely regarded block to economic development and female empowerment. When a girl gets her period, she misses the equivalent of 2 whole weeks of learning every school term. Additionally, a girl's self-confidence drastically diminishes. And every girl deserves to feel confident about her identity. Red Ribbon is a lingerie designer and manufacturer. Red Ribbon is a lingerie designer and manufacturer working to solve this problem. For every bundle of Red Ribbon underwear a customer purchases, 1 washable and reusable padded underwear designed to handle period flow gets donated to a girl in need in these developing countries. A bundle of underwear includes 3 pairs, and customers can mix and match from various styles and designs to create a bundle unique to their own tastes. Red Ribbon sells underwear comparable to brands like Calvin Klein and Victoria's Secret, but you will always know when you are wearing your Red Ribbon underwear. On the back of every pair, right below the waistband, there is a red bow, showing that girls and women of all ages and backgrounds are united to promoting a positive culture around menstruation. Thank you.
70% of trans and gender nonconforming people living in Washington, D.C. have experienced discrimination or harassment while trying to use the restroom. I think that that's a terrible thing. Everybody should be able to do their business in peace without worrying about discrimination based on their gender identity or gender presentation. Gendered restrooms create social situations that can be dangerous and stressful for trans and gender nonconforming individuals, as well as families with children and disabled people with caregivers. My name is William Angel, and by utilizing a list of online businesses with, or an online list of businesses with all gendered restrooms, stand up, sit down, will be able to connect businesses with potential customers by advertising a safe place to use the restroom. In addition to making that connection between businesses and potential customers, Stand Up, Sit Down will be able to small businesses will be able to connect with customers by giving them advertisements and for discounts and promote themselves. In addition to connecting customers that way, we'll work with activists and community members in order to identify businesses that aren't just safe places to use the restroom. We'll identify businesses that are friendly places to use the restroom. So my goal is to make businesses safer, more popular, more profitable, and to help everybody find a safe place to use the restroom and go from standing up in line to sitting down in comfort. Thank you.
We have two things that we focus on in our social venture Tech Rise: training Nepali youths to become competent web developers and providing them with global income opportunities. The Tech Rise story began last year when I spent 6 months in Nepal. I made many friends there, whom I found to be extremely driven and extremely entrepreneurial. They had lots of ideas and plans, but they didn't necessarily have the capital nor the means to turn it into reality. My partner and I then realized that if we could teach them this highly in-demand skill of programming, they would be opened up to a whole new set of income opportunities and quite literally have the tools to build upon their dreams. So how do we actually go about doing this? Our online interactive curriculum starts from the basics, so even complete beginners can start coding from day one. We hold weekly mentor sessions where we work closely with our students to help them overcome the obstacles they may be facing. We eventually want to expand TechRise into a web development outsourcing company for fellow startups all across the globe. We can provide quick, low-cost services to time and budget-constrained startups, where we can create more and better employment for our young developers. TechRise sees the potential for young Nepalis to connect to further global opportunities and to leverage the entrepreneurial spirit to action, one code at a time. Thank you.
Would you believe me if I told you there's a secret group of superheroes on every single campus running the university? These superheroes are not any kind of university president or anything like that. In fact, when you're sleeping at night, these guys do anything to wipe the floor of any danger they come across, and they work hard to get rid of that white stuff off the streets. Superheroes, white stuff. I'm talking about the janitor who works hard to sweep all the floors in the universities, in the buildings. I'm talking about the service employee who shovels all the snow off the ground. These are the unsung heroes of the Georgetown community and other schools who are often not getting the recognition that they deserve. That's when I thought of the idea to create Unsung Heroes, an organization that focuses on promoting awareness and appreciation for the heroes that you see in the universities that often don't get the recognition they deserve. For example, I'm going to show you what the finished product looks like. We work to share the stories of these heroes to the rest of the community. This is Willie. He's a hero that I interviewed about 2 weeks ago. His advice to Hoyas is to never overlook the underdog, because when his daughter was younger, she was really bad at school apparently, and she was picked and teased on often. Then she had a midlife crisis, and she got a chance to create an organization now that's been voted the #2 for 2 years straight as the #1 organization in DMV area. These are the kind of stories that we're trying to share with the rest of the community. As far as we currently have like 100 stories that we're looking to share through social media and marketing. We're looking for funds to start the website up, and as of now, recently we've gotten accepted to the Clayton Global Initiative University to present this project in front of other social entrepreneurs in hopes of basically trying to spread this initiative to other campuses, because universities are looking to buy this because they want to basically be able to show that their janitor is just as equally important as their president of the university. Thank you.
Imagine that every garment you bought would affect a life in a positive way, would impact a life in a positive way. Imagine that every pant, shirt, even your underwear would have a positive impact on a person that needs it. Now, let me introduce you to Virtu, an ethical fashion brand that manages to empower lives for the person that really needs it. We produce beautiful, high-quality garments just like this one and allow you to have access to high-quality products that not only you'll be able to know who made them through beautiful, made, tags, personalized just like this one, but you would also be able to track them and know what we do with our social impact and how we work, how we pay 300% salary increase to each one of these people, and how we reinvest 50% of our general profit in the community that we're producing our products. The sad thing and the happy thing is how simple our model works and how we are profitable. We're profitable only because we take over the production, we cut the middleman, and we use our business model, our social business model, as a market entrance. So people buy our things better, so we don't have to spend as much in marketing that normally accounts for 20 to 25% of the final price of every garment you buy regularly in a store. We've managed to look for a way to empower the communities, change the industry. Now we need your shared sense to keep doing it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys for all coming out tonight, and let's give one big round of applause to everyone who participated again.